And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting Australian Indian Radio's daily live update. And we are so glad that you could join us. Well, welcome to the daily live update of Australian Indian Radio, the last day of this financial year. I'm Umesh Chandra, your host. Yes, yet another beautiful day in paradise. So let's take a very, very quick look at the weather. So the weather is looking great for today, for the rest of the day. So the maximum is going to be 22 and the chance of rain is very, very little. And as we move on, we look at the dates out there. So mostly sunny, chance of the early fog in the west as it usually is, but all the rest is very, very fine. UV index is around the 4 and that is expected. Now moving on, looking at the COVID-19 cases. So on the worldwide, Australia has the confirmed cases today of 7,684 and the recoveries are 6,993 and the death rate is at 104. So worldwide, the confirmed cases are 10.2 million and the recovery 5.1 and the death remains at 503k. So that is still quite a large number, still out there, which is on the rise. So taking a very, very quick look at how all the places are managing with this COVID-19. As we know, Victoria has a lot of problems and it is going to look at some of the measures that's been put in, and that has also made the Queensland Premier very nervous about opening Queensland's borders. But a good story that's coming out of all the way from Delhi is they're making one of the biggest makeshift structure for COVID-19 patients with lots of beds. Let's see how they've done it and let's take a quick look at the facilities there. So that is overlooking the big complex, and it is all in Delhi, and it's quite big. And this kind of structures will probably become quite common in Delhi or all over India, I would say, as India is trying to move towards the India's industrial revolution and trying to make everything in India. As we know, Narendra Modi ji has launched Atmanirbhar India, which means self-sufficient India. That's what it's trying to make. So this is inside the complex where all the makeshift beds have been put in, and it's a wonderful initiative. When you look at it, it is great to see that this kind of initiatives are taking place. And of course, this is a Delhi's initiative. Of course, they have the similar system to what we have here in Australia, where there is the federal government, then there is the local government and the state. So all work together. And so this is an initiative of Delhi government itself. So it is great to see that this kind of initiatives are taking place, and this is what is needed. This is the call of the day at the time. So as you can see, this is the completed facilities now. So many different beds with the distancing in place, and this has been built by, came about with the support of a religious organization or a cultural organization, should I say. And it is good to see that how they could very quickly put all of this together. So yes, it is wonderful to see that happening. So ladies and gentlemen, here
This is a COVID isolation center and hospital with 10% of its facility being catering to oxygen related patients. We will have oxygen for 10% of patients, and facility is for isolation. That means all COVID positive patients will be here for isolation. Uh, we are starting with 2,000 beds in
unfortunately
another 2 days
the
from
volume
now.
is a little bit
And
low.
by first week of July, we should be ready with the functioning of 10,000 beds. As per one projection, it is said that by the first week of July, we might need another 15,000 beds. So we are working.
So let's come back to Queensland and Australia. So as we know, that is a great initiative, and we were talking about the coronavirus. So I said I must mention that that is happening now. When we talk about coronavirus, it's not everything that's come with coronavirus is bad. As we know, we should look at some of the things that come out okay. So I'm talking about yesterday, and I must acknowledge everyone's comments that came our way yesterday. We are really, really humbled. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, yes, I'm talking about my official presentation of the OIM medal at the ceremony which took place at the Government House yesterday. So COVID-19 has come with some advantage, as we were given individual and personalized ceremonies rather than a very, very, group ceremony that normally takes place. For our family, it was a historic day. And we had the 3 generations present at the ceremony, which made it even better. So from all of us, it's a very, very great thank you. And the governor himself for the personalized attention that he gave us, the booklet that was printed especially for me, and his signing and autographing of that book, and all the mementos and the refreshment. So it is wonderful to see that. So that's what happened yesterday. Right now, let's go back to some of our news and let's see what our Prime Minister has to say.
It's great to be here with the Premier and, of course, the Transport Minister. Also great to have Alex Hawke here and Dave Sharma, local members together with John Alexander. Congestion busting, making roads safer, working with local governments to get important infrastructure projects moving. This time last week, the Premier and I were standing at the near completion of North Connects, and here we are today, standing together again with the next round of really practical infrastructure transport projects, which not only are going to make a big difference to getting people home sooner and safer and getting to them work sooner and safer, to make a city like Sydney, which needs this congestion busting infrastructure for it to function, but also today the Deputy Prime Minister is out in Yass and he's talking about the road safety projects we're investing as part of 451 million. Supported by even more than that by the state government, over $560 million, working together in partnership to bring forward much needed transport infrastructure projects which are necessary to boost our economy, come out and through of this COVID-19 recession. These projects are part of $1.5 billion worth of works that we're putting right around the country, all states and territories, working as part of a team with state and territory governments. The National Cabinet has been absolutely vital in how we've been addressing and managing the health crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic, but it has been equally beneficial in the partnership we're forming and we're working together on to ensure we're doing the right things to bring Australia through this COVID recession and out the other side, and that's all about jobs. These projects we're talking about here today are some 5,500 jobs, which will come directly by getting these projects underway. So it's the most basic of projects at local government levels across the state, going through to important road safety projects and dealing with congestion pinch points like we're here now. You can hear the traffic around us, and that is the noise of a city that is returning to normal. And it's the noise of a city that needs continued investment in important transport infrastructure to ensure that we emerge more strongly from the COVID-19 recession. And I want to thank again Premier Berejiklian for her partnership on the economics, on the transport infrastructure, on the health management that has been so vital. New South Wales has been in the most difficult of situations in facing the COVID-19 pandemic. Were it not for New South Wales stepping up, where the majority of international visitors, Australians returning to Australia, coming back and being looked after here in New South Wales, and the quarantine so successfully managed here in New South Wales, then if it were not for them stepping up and also meeting those costs, as Victoria have as well, Victoria and New South Wales have had to deal with the majority, overwhelming majority of returning Australians. And that means they've been under the most pressure, and I want to commend Premier Berejiklian and all of her team for the wonderful leadership that they've shown in staying on top of this. And it's great to have her here with me today as we embark on yet another important economic infrastructure partnership. Thank you, Gladys.
And thank you very much. And a wonderful message there from the Prime Minister, and all this infrastructure that's being put in place are much needed as well. Sometimes people complain about the progress because people often get very used to what they are seeing, and all of a sudden all this development are going around their place, and it's not as it was always used to be. It is a change. As we know, the Beams Road crossing yesterday, Minister Hinchcliffe announced that big project that's going to take that crossing in Castlereagh in a way, that level crossing, which was the upgrade has been long coming. But I hope that it's done in a better manner. Sometimes we look at the way, but there's no other way in the way that things are designed. As you look at the overpass in Geebung, it's taken up so much space. People used to just fly through straight, and now you've got to go all the way around. Come on, but it is now. It's got rid of the level crossing, so you don't have to do cross those tram lines. But why around, and so many properties had to be resumed. But that is progress, and that is the way things go. But right now, today is the last day of this financial year. So are you ready? I've got few little messages and tips, and probably next week we will bring to you some consultants who will, we will talk about your deductions and what this year might mean because of the COVID. Of course, the JobKeeper and the Job Seeker, how are those going to be reported? What are the online portals? What are the things that you can do? I know people are grappling with getting the super paid in on time as well. ITO has now started tracking your previous employees, even though if they were made inactive. All the details need to be correct with your software these days. Reporting every payroll, the report goes to ATO with that internal reporting and matching up with the records. Matching up with the records so they can very easily trace what's happening there. So I know that all this is probably putting a little bit pressure on all those who are in the finance and admin field, but such is the nature. But here's some tips from ITO. The first one is a very short message on business deductions. So what can you deduct as your business expense? I don't think this coffee would come as a deduction, but there are many things that you can. So let's hear from ITO and see what's deductible.
This tax time, make sure you know which business deductions you're eligible to claim. There are 3 golden rules to remember when claiming deductions. First, you must have spent the money for running your business. Secondly, the expense must be related to your business and it can't be private or domestic expense. And thirdly, you must keep those records to prove it. Some common business deductions are motor vehicle expenses like fuel and oil, repairs and services, insurance and registration, operating costs like office rent, stationery, salary or wages, and then repairs and maintenance costs like for machinery, tools or your premises. But remember, they can't be capital expenses. To find out more, visit ato.gov.au/SB deductions, or you can speak with your registered tax agent. And remember, if you're a sole trader, you can use My Deductions in the ATO app to track your expenses throughout the year.
So there you are. There's a lot of information that is available through ATO. But as we know that lately the MyGov account that has been created, and that helps a lot of things. If you were used to the ATO portal before, and if you logged in through the business portal to lodge your BES, etc., then you needed to have a particular CSI that signing in signature package on your computer, and then if you were using a different browser, then it caused problems. Every time Java was updated, you had a problem. But now with this MyGov app, and when you receive those code on your phone, you just punch that in and you can log in anywhere, anytime. So, highly recommended that you do get that MyGov account. How do you get it?
MyGov gives you access to government online services in one place. Link your MyGov account to the ATO and you can manage your tax and super affairs online. If you don't have a MyGov account, you can create one easily. Go to my.gov.au and select Create an Account. Read the terms of use, then select I agree to continue. Enter an email address only you will use and select Next. You won't be able to use this address for any other MyGov account, for example your partner's. MyGov will email you a confirmation code. Enter the code and select Next. At this stage, you can add a security code to your account, but you can skip this step if you want to. You'll now be asked to create a password. And select Next. Choose and answer 3 secret questions. These are questions only you would know the answers to. Choose questions you will remember easily and whose answers are unlikely to change over time. And that's it. You have a MyGov account. Your MyGov username will be emailed to you. Keep it somewhere safe for future reference. But you will also have the choice to use your email address or mobile phone number to log in. Once you have a
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. It's not very hard to set up, but of course, when they're showing you in that manner, it always looks very easy. But when you're doing it yourself, you get stuck with certain screens and you just can't move forward unless you find that information. But highly recommended that you do get that, and it will help you a lot. Especially in logging in, and accessing all different parts of the business portal. Right now, because today is the last day of the financial year, here's a little bit of advice. It's not very long. It's a little bit of advice from HR Block, the tax specialist, on few of the tips of what you can do now. As I mentioned before, that we will go into great details later on, because as it is today is the last day of the financial year. That doesn't mean that you're going to lodge your returns tomorrow. So next week we will go in great details as to what deductions and what would be unique to 2020, what are the things and how do you account for those things. We will bring in an expert and you can ask some questions at that time as well. So, but right now let's get a little bit of update from the HR Block Tax Talk.
Hello, I'm Mark Chapman from H&R Block. The statutory date for lodging your income tax return is 31st of October. If you haven't lodged by then, you're leaving yourself open to a potential penalty for late lodgement. The good news, if you're approaching the deadline and still haven't lodged, is that tax agents have a special facility with the ATO which enables them to lodge tax returns for you after the 31st of October deadline without you incurring a penalty. So, if you lodge through a tax agent, you potentially have until the 15th of May next year to lodge. That's over 6 months later than the normal deadline. Slightly different rules apply if you're lodging through a tax agent and last year's tax return showed that you had tax payable of $20,000 or more. In that case, you must lodge slightly earlier, by the 31st of March next year. To take advantage of the later due dates for tax agents, you must be registered with a tax agent like H&R Block by the 31st of October. Any later and you miss out. If you have one or more unlodged tax returns for an earlier year, the extended deadline for clients of tax agents won't apply. You'll revert to the 31st of October deadline, by which time you'll need to get both this year's return lodged and the outstanding return from the earlier year. My tip to you is this: the earlier you lodge, the better, particularly if you're expecting a refund.
And thank you very much for that advice coming there from HR Blocks as well. It is tax time, so get all the things ready, and we will be looking at text in more great details, as I said, in the coming shows. Right now, it's time to take a commercial break and a message from our sponsor.
ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी 1989 से लेकर अब तक का विश्वसनीय और माननीय ब्रिस्बेन का रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। उषा चंद्रा, जो कि ग्लोबनेट की डायरेक्टर है, अपने ग्राहकों को ईमानदार और एथिक सर्विसेज देती हैं। अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन की प्रॉपर्टी में पूंजी लगाना चाहते हैं और आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोफेशनली मैनेज किया जाए, तो आप आज ही कांटेक्ट कीजिए उषा चंद्रा को। लैंडलाइन नंबर है 38654466 और मोबाइल नंबर है 0419775416। और आप प्रॉपर्टी की अधिक जानकारी और करंट अपडेट्स के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं। हमारी वेबसाइट है www.globenetreality.com.au। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी आपका अपना लोकल रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। हमारा पता है ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, शॉप नंबर 5, 2281 सैंडगेट रोड, बुंदल, क्वींसलैंड। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, रियल एस्टेट इज अवर वर्ल्ड।
And real estate is their world, as they've said, and it is wonderful that they are able to support us in this program. So, ladies and gentlemen, right now our segment now is looking at news in brief. So, ASX to jump on the last day of the financial year as Wall Street rebounds. Australian shares are likely to recoup some of yesterday's heavy losses as the turbulent financial year draws to a close. Yes, and the financial year has been very, very turbulent as well. Victoria considers hotspot lockdowns as Queensland's border decision looms. As I said before, the Premier is still contemplating whether to go ahead and open the borders or not. With an increase in the community transmission rates linked to 10 hotspots in Melbourne, the decision to lock down some suburbs is looming large in the minds of Victoria's leaders. And Broncos skipper hits out at bullying critics after stinging defeat to Titans. Brisbane's Broncos skipper Alex Gleam hits out at the club's critics on social media after Saturday night's disappointing defeat against Gold Coast Titans. Oh, well, what do? We have to keep on moving on. Now, this is terrible. Crime against common humanity. Man jailed for sexually abusing his daughter. A judge tells a country court that he is unaware of another case where such a young child has suffered such an abuse, as a father demonstrates little remorse for the crimes. That is terrible news that's coming out. And the next news is a small stretch of unsafe road may be what decides the Eden-Monaro by-election. So this road, is going to be becoming a election campaign and hot debate. The short single-lane highway connecting Yes and Canberra is a daily trial for drivers. It may be the issue that swings critical votes this weekend's by-election. So, that's the road to your seat, as they say. Next up, crowds are slowly returning, but putting bumps on seat isn't quite as simple as it sounds. It has never been simple getting bumps on seats for any function, any event, anything like that. So it's never been easy. The restrictions begin to ease in some parts of the country. The number of AFL and NRL fans allowed to attend games is on the rise. It's creating the challenge for stadiums chasing the biggest possible crowd. So they are still looking for, the crowd, and it is still not getting quite there. And made in Australia, made in Oz, that could be the new slogan, made in Oz. The man who steered Obama's manufacturing plans says US offers lessons. Andrew Levis helped write the manufacturing policies of Barack Obama and Donald Trump, and now he's doing the same for Scott Morrison. He's among those hoping to reset the coronavirus and which will herald a new era for Australian businesses. So, yes, we all know that, we need to get our manufacturing sector up and running somehow to get it going. So what is that formula? Where do we find that balance of keeping, our employees employed at a very, very good level of income where they too can afford a good quality of life as well, but where the factories are financially viable, the products that are made are, can meet the market in terms of prices. So that's a big challenge out there. But I hope that, they come to some sort of conclusion and putting all their heads together to coming up with some formula that is workable. So I was at crossroads, says Indigenous police officer, as he rekindles a career by serving in his own community. Not long ago, Senior Constable Carl Gunderson was thinking of leaving Northern Territory Police after working on a horrific case in Tennant Creek. But then came an opportunity for the TV officer to serve in his father's community, which he obviously took, and he's serving with pride. So that is wonderful news to see that, that is happening. New mums emerging from lockdown together for the first time. After months of loneliness and lockdown, parents of newborns are taking their first cautious step back into the world. So, this is again a challenging time for the newborns, during this time. But after a long time, they are now taking that step back into the normality. And of course, always precaution must be taken. New South Wales man dies after being shot in the leg. Teacher taken off classroom duties after racist rant. A man died after being shot in Western Sydney, and a Hunter Valley High School teacher is investigated over allegations she told an Indigenous student that they were too white to be recognised as Aboriginal. So, this kind of comments still happen in today's day and age. It's hard to believe, very, very hard to believe that. Now, TikTok, which has taken India by storm, as we know, so you can see some very, very creative things coming on there. But India is going to ban TikTok and dozens other Chinese apps, citing security concerns. India's technology ministry cites that security of state in its order to ban 59 mostly Chinese apps, including TikTok, which analysts say has more than 600 million downloads in the country. So there you go. No more for TikTok. They might, they might design one of their own. They're pretty cool and pretty smart that way. So now, I would have been dead as a doorbell boy struck by falling tree during New Year's Eve bushfire, and now he walks again. That's a wonderful story. Ivan Kowalski escaped the hell of New Year's Eve bushfires in New South Wales South Coast last year and arrived in Sydney in helicopter with a broken spine to sound of the fireworks exploding beneath him, but he was in pain. But now he walks again. So that is a wonderful news. That's a good news that's coming out there as well. Right now, what's happening, China is making all sorts of news at this point in time. So the extradition law on steroids, China taking revenge on Hong Kong a year after the defiant protest. We all know about those protests that happened in Hong Kong. 1 year after the day when thousands of young protesters smashed their way into Hong Kong's local government building over plans for closer legal integration with mainland China. Beijing is moving to finalize a law which is far more expansive and restrictive, writes China. So that is what's happening there, what's making news out there. So right now the wool broker, let's look at what's happening in the wool industry. Wool broker seeks truth in labeling in cryptogenic alternative of muesli. A large wool broker and exporter says the industry is shooting itself in the foot by not allowing farmers to indicate their use of the muesli alternative. So, we must support our local industry as much as we can. And moving on, better value NBN bundles leave now low income and as far off. Michelle Sinin is one of the nearly 500,000 low-income Australians who have not signed up to NBN because it's simply too expensive. And now we all talking about the 5G, so let's see how it all goes. And as I said before, that Queensland Premier is facing a tough decision as is expected to reveal when the state's border will open, but it may not be to the date that many people were hoping for. Now, this is on the back of Victoria, which continues to record a spike in coronavirus cases. And they were saying that in Victoria, the situation is probably going to get worse before it starts subsiding again. So, when you look at all these things, there's so much that's also happening out there. Fans say he radiates dead like Swedish cool. Critics say his plan means doing nothing while people die. He's an unlikely hero of Sweden's continuous pandemic plan, lauded by friends for his Swedish dead cool. And Anders Teagle is also accused of allowing the COVID-19 casualties to pile up. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's some of the news in brief. As we know, there's so much happening out there, and we will try and bring to you as much as we can in the given time that we have. But today we will finish off, and we will finish off with all the upcoming events that are happening. Now, with the upcoming events, all you need to do is jump onto our website, and you'll be able to see all the upcoming events that are happening. Also, sign up for our EDM, which is the electronic letter mail, which goes out every Friday. There's so many people, and subscribers are subscribing every week, so we get lots more people subscribing to that, and everyone's using that service. And of course, we will include whatever is allowed to us to move in this program here as well, or for the upcoming events, so that people are made aware of all the events that are happening. And of course, this is end of the financial year, so I know today is a very, very busy day for many people to try and get everything done before that financial year closes. And of course, the instant tax write-off for the assets. You still got time. Okay, as long as you do that signature before the time and the dates right, you will still be able to claim that. But don't quote me on that. I'm not a financial advisor by any way. So this is just general topic, general conversation. Right now, let's look at what's happening in Brisbane. Online Hindu Dharma classes for children, Bala Sanskar Kendra, which is a wonderful initiative. Breathe Your Way by Art of Living Foundation. And the Comeback Christian World Leaders World Conference. BSK Annual Cup Cricket Gurdwara programs resume, and it is wonderful to see that is happening. I know there's a petition going on about the Singh Sabha access. So they're demanding there's a better access to Singh Sabha. If you are able to get online and do sign that petition, support whatever and wherever we can. Vedanta chapter, all their programs that are happening there as well. And of course, National Mental Health Helpline. And the Sahyog Brisbane, which is a joint initiative of many organizations that are taking part in here. Support After Suicide, which is a big program, free program for anyone who wishes to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's been the show for today, and I hope you have enjoyed the show. As usual, we do welcome your feedback, because based on that is what we can make some improvements on. And we'd like to get you on the show. Any topic that you need to talk about, please do so, because there is so much happening out in the community, and we'll try and get all the news out there. And to all the people who have made comments on our program, and of course about the OIM official presentation for yesterday, from me, Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate all that. It's very hard to individually thank each and every one of you, but consider this as my personal thanks to each and every one of you for your, kind words and for your ongoing support. With that, it's goodbye from me.